Hello and welcome to the stream. Where's Gareth? Hey, Gareth.
It was just flu, and they were so glad to be able to say it without being treated like a leper.
Wow, without being ostracized.
Yeah.
They're trying to make us nervous about monkeypox. Have you seen? They're trying to
Yeah,
like
media's all
drum
over
up.
it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
a
they're trying to drum
bunch
up.
of fox and monkeys.
Right.
How is this one spread again? The monkeypox?
I think
Anal
this.
sex. Anal sex. No, really.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
mostly through. Yeah, yeah,
Really?
yeah. No, it's mostly.
Oh,
It's mostly gay males. Anal sex. There are like
really?
there are 2 or 3 cases that
Oh.
have been transmitted in other ways, but it's usually that. So it's very
Are you even
specific.
allowed to say that?
Well, that's the whole problem, right? Is that people don't want
Yeah,
you to say that because then it sounds like you're discriminating. But that's the disease, not
yeah.
us. So
yeah.
if you're
Okay.
going to get upset about it, then I don't know who you're going to take that to because nature doesn't
Yeah.
give a shit about the complaints.
Mm-hmm.
And if it
Agree.
only affects a tiny, tiny percentage of people or a specific group of people, then it is to their advantage to know that it's going to
Mm.
affect them the most so they can avoid it.
Mm.
And it's to the advantage of everyone else to know, okay, well, it's unlikely I'm going to get it.
Yes.
Otherwise, you get people panicking for nothing. But
Yeah.
these days, you can't even say stuff like that because then someone somewhere is going to go, oh, it's discrimination. And it's like, no, it's not discrimination. That's how the disease works,
Yeah. Yeah.
dummy. You know?
Cool.
Anyway, only about 5 people have died in the whole world from monkeypox, so let's just calm our tits, please. There's no
Yeah.
Mm.
need for anyone to get tight.
Well, anything involving the word sex, I'm safe. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for
Ah,
you, that's
good
it.
for you, Leanne.
This is like,
Good for
Leanne's
you.
going to be Leanne's going to be as bothered by the monkeypox as I was by COVID. She'd be like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
let's. We won't. Which is exactly what I. Anyway, so all right. Did you do anything cool over the weekend, Anne? While Matt was
Oh,
lying in
so
bed trying to recover.
I have a very young aunt. So my dad is the oldest of 4 children, and she's the youngest.
Ooh.
So there's
All right.
only a decade between us, and so we've been like sisters really throughout our lives. And she's lived in either the UK or the US for most of our lives together.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen her in 14 years. And she and her family visited. They're here in South Africa. and it's just the best feeling ever. I just
pretty
every
cool.
time I see her, I have to hug her. It's just so amazing to be together. And she has three children who are all almost in their 20s now.
Wow.
And we're just having a blast. I'm actually exhausted because she runs on, I don't know what she runs on, but she's always been very energetic and loves her wine. So
Nice.
we've had a very busy, long weekend. It's been amazing. Very cool.
Well, that's pretty
That sounds
cool. I
lovely.
like that. All right, nice
Mm.
stuff. I'm just glad that
Mm.
someone's getting you out of the house occasionally.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know,
I know. I had to find clothes that didn't have holes in them.
Wow.
you were becoming a proper hermit.
Yeah, you're
I actually,
very right.
I,
I won't argue against
no,
that.
it's not good. I mean, you used to be the life and soul of the party, and now it's like, oh, Leanne, can you get her out of the
Okay,
house?
I'll get there. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, by then the whole world would have moved on. We won't know where to go with you anymore. So I was talking to a friend of mine last Wednesday. I had dinner with two of them, and I actually said to the one guy, "Hey, listen, stop being so hermity." He's like,
Oh,
"Yeah," because he was also just no excuse. He just had decided to maybe use COVID as an excuse to
mm,
not do things anymore, which people do. You know,
Mm.
yeah.
Absolutely.
that is no longer a valid excuse. I'm just putting it out there. If you use that
Mm.
excuse with me, I'm not buying it anymore.
Mm.
So speaking of weekends, I see you've grown a little.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
I got the moustache and the beard going properly now.
Mm-hmm.
I actually saw Ben on Saturday, and we were comparing the beard growth situation, and we're going to keep it going for we agreed on the show another 2 weeks, and then we're done. So I hope mine won't be embarrassing, but I'm going to give it a go. What the hell? You know, what have I
Yeah.
got to lose? If I look like
I've been
shit,
gr-
it won't
I've
be any
been
different to how I look without it.
I've been growing my pits since the beginning of COVID.
Oh,
So
lovely, Deanne. Thanks so much.
Look at you,
commiserations.
Leanne.
Your armpit hairs. That's great. So we can get a competition going here. I
Yeah.
mean, you and I and Ben, we can go and have our beards and our armpits, checked. I mean, it's so revolting. Look, Mash is stopping himself from throwing up.
Yeah, this one I'm not joining this time around.
All right, so Mash, I worry about you when you ask these health questions, but he wants to know, like, how often should you be going to the dentist? And as far as I know, you should go at least every 6 months just to have everything
Mm.
checked out. At,
Yes.
at worst, you should do it every year.
Yeah.
Because even if there's nothing wrong, the dentist might pick up that there's a little hole in the one tooth, or something going on with your gums or something, and you need to check that stuff out. And it's such a horrible ordeal. I hate the dentist. It's just not my
I
favorite thing.
love
But
going
you've got
to
to
the
do it
dentist.
right. You
I
do?
love the dentist
Yeah.
too.
What
Yeah.
is wrong with you two? You like
Oh.
someone
So
digging around in your mouth?
I usually go. I usually make a double appointment first with the hygienist and then the dentist because I'm usually. I like to present myself with pride and confidence to the dentist. But yeah, no, I love it. And get everything polished up and get to see the X-rays and everything's fine.
Mm.
I had to go recently and I had a bit of a tooth shaved down.
Mm.
Feels
Did that
good.
hurt?
No, because I've already had root canal on it. So he could do what he liked to it and it was fine.
Jesus.
Oh, Leanne, that's.
So yeah, you're supposed to go every 6 months. But
Mm.
when I was really young, like you, Mash, he said to me, you really only need to come once a year because you're doing everything you need to.
Yeah. As long as you're flossing and you're just taking care of your teeth, then it's not really um, that much of a missed opportunity if you go there once a year.
Mm,
It's not
Well,
really that
I mean,
much of
listen,
that.
if you have a tooth problem, you know all about it, right?
Mm.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, doesn't Homolemo have something going on with his teeth at the moment?
Yes, he does. And this
Yeah,
is actually the reason that
he was
brought
on
this topic
painkillers
up for
last
me.
week. Mm.
The whole week. So, reason why this topic came about is because we're actually arguing in the office, and I was asking Homolemo specifically that why are you in this pain? Why are you having this problem now? Haven't you been going to the dentist? You could have actually avoided having a bowel. And he was telling me about how he was and I was like, everyone gets it. I was like, everybody gets it. And I'm like, it is so disturbing to me because I go to the dentist everything the reason being, I always the problem. So preventive one pain starts, you're using a pain or you're getting some sort of hectic disease. So once the pain begins, there's no more relief.
Right.
Yeah.
You did really describe
Take it. Take it. Take it.
yeah. What's the doctor?
Not stupid. People don't really like their dentists. I don't know if that's still true, but it's awful job. I mean, imagine the kind of people who need to have the places. There's about 4 people in London.
It's 50 times worse than that.
What's worse than in someone's bowel breath?
Gynecologist,
Mortician.
Because, yeah, gynecologist and the guy.
Yeah, you don't see the line.
that's another one that's worse.
That's great. All right, well, Mike is that is and he's only been to dentist twice in his life. So, yeah, lucky him. That's all I can say.
But that also reminds me, and that is the fact that your teeth may look good, but you don't know what's happening beneath them. And only once, until today, you can have the perfect white teeth, but inside, it's rotten and you'll never know unless
I actually want to move on. This is not my favorite subject to talk about. I get very much sensitive about it. I think that I was told now I can grin and bear it, but I usually walk out of the way. When I'm done.
It might have been your mom who did take me to reach out to me.
She did. Never forget. Alright, so a horrible story. You know, I'm listening to the environment, but this is one that they will absolutely glom on. Right? And it sounds like children's stories and stuff. I include it. You know, it's like that 7 on 7. Anyway, they found this tiny center with 2 pure plastic from being in a Sydney beach. Just jacked plastic for, what, 6 days? And there's all that shit in the ocean. Little circle. And that's making me so angry.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, we all know vegetarian story, and we don't like to listen to it. The same thing is right. It's the type of thing we don't want to face it. Everyone wants let's avoid it. And you would find back and you can so much there from the country to come out. And he was only 127 grams. Really fingers the palm. Also using a flip, one of the flippers, picking the other, all in the shell. One little guy. wasn't based on it.
It's not just, someone gives birth to a child, one day, on the face. Like, wow, this guy's been alive.
It's their initial diet, their initial diet is flat, not great, you know.
My biggest concern is, my biggest concern is how are you even alive at this point if you're eating so much plastic? There's no value in that.
You have to go something if you can to edge of life.
Maybe all this scraps of food and shit are in the plastic.
Yeah, exactly. But it just makes us think, we all go, oh, these people have been born making their way to the sea. And there they are, eating plastic. It's just horrible. What the hell is this?
Pretty much the same.
There's so many. The two plastic.
But the worst part about all of this is if you're in Australia, you imagine that probably the rule. The sort these things up and
Yeah.
it's so silly. It's like when, people think that the president should sign a law and everything will change. Yeah. It's all the presidents the big countries in the world got together and they all signed a law to reduce carbon emissions. Like that would just suddenly fix things. And it wouldn't. You have to be a bit
It doesn't.
you have to be a bit stupid to think that people signing a piece of paper was going to suddenly make everything better.
It's the same as raising funds. And that's something that, Gareth, certainly in our era, we were taught to do from young, is to raise funds for good causes, and we'd have our lemonade stands and all the rest of it. And now we raise funds for certain things, and we're given money as an African country. There's no guarantee where that money's going. There's no signature that's
nobody
going to
knows.
say that.
It's funny you should mention that. We've got a guy called Chris on a bit later on. He's spending 86 days in the Kruger National Park to actually raise money for the Smile Foundation. Now, we do know where that money goes to. It goes to help people who were born with, defects of the
Cleft
face, the
palates.
mouth, cleft palates, hair lips, that kind of thing. And I know the Smile Foundation. I've seen the work that they do. I know the people who started that foundation. They really are superb. So it depends. On a small scale, you can do it. But when you get to like changing the amount of carbon in the atmosphere, do me a favor, please. Politicians. It's not going to change a damn thing. Anyway, so we'll speak to Chris a little bit later, and we've got Dr. Hanan joining us for a little bit of It's Going to Be Okay, and we've got an amazing, amazing story that someone wants to help. Well, she's asking for help from Dr. Hanan to try and figure out a way forward with this family of hers. You've got to hear the story to believe it. It's unreal. So, yeah, I think I'm glad that August is here. It's my birthday month.
Oh, it is too.
In September soon. I wish I waited All right, well, at least, we've got to be grateful.
Yeah, I've mentioned with my family before. They're living with me. But I was actually supposed to feel wasn't supposed to. You need to feel wasn't supposed to. It's kind of this like starting thing.
Places with rent like located. For example,
And you're diplomatic resident as well. Government building.
They must have made a map of where these areas are and how much more or less copy that. And I'd be kind of curious to know if that's going on because that would be really good concept. For example, if you were piloting a house, living in the lake, and you knew you were in a no load shedding, you probably if the parents said, how come no one's given us a map? Because, oh well, we've been doing this for a couple of years, so we should know.
Because I suppose it's controversial to highlight the fact that government housing doesn't work.
Yeah. Although generally there is generally some of these areas are generally. I do have a friend in Johannesburg South who straight up said to me, some workers live in my street, so we never have load shedding. So it is generally known, but nobody is documenting it. There's no document on any website where you can say these following areas are the areas where the government ministers are living in. So there's no load shedding ever.
Oh, this makes me very angry.
Really not cold.
You know, Victoria as well. I have a friend who lives in Victoria.
You've got to find out where these places are. All I'm saying is someone copy your map. We know. And we also know who to be angry with, like who drives to a certain exit.
Toilet paper.
Yeah, yeah.
Alright, well, there are a lot of other things that are on the agenda. We are finished with the list of that show, that feature is done. Wonderfully, we'll be starting season 2. And I also have to tell you that we're doing new series like this. But Anthony Leader has actually moved on to the stage. And so we're actually looking for someone new to bring blind history. Bringing up the old history. Making sure that blind history if you want it. But the grant so what people do by going to blind history, people to buy during the community, that's just been guaranteed. Especially love blind history, 16 years, membership. So, to work for your business, and we like it. It's your way of getting to carry on. And
one of those things that can't take you away from you, I always say, the knowledge, the experience, something that you know is what. The knowledge of the thing is what you can.
oh, nice thing about that show is you get to share it. That's what you remember. And we're both excited about who we're going to have next. So we've got a whole list of people. So if you want to be involved, let us know. You've got a company or a brand that wants to associate with Blind History. And be yours as from today.
There's an underwear company. It's anti-history.
Anti-history, that's right.
The under.
Here's a story that both of you will have something to say about because I haven't really noticed that they've done anything. But Instagram is pausing a rollout of new features following backlash from users and celebrities. Among the new features, increased selection of video content in a similar style to TikTok. Display and tools for criticized but will not see photos from abandoned. Meta is playing Samsung because they will take the time to get the changes right. So obviously users check out and they were like, okay, stop. The revamp of Instagram creates more video content that people will ignited by the story popular on TikTok. Posting so what do you think?
I think it's
Go ahead, yes. TikTok's always trying to copy everyone. Like we're seeing we're trying to survive. So let's change the shape of our Instagram. Yeah. It's now. Sorry. Now I'm making photographs, not but squares. Let's use videos, like for a baby, and it also illustrates me because it's perfect of the platform of influences to living perfect lives, which is why I will do a TikTok plan until it becomes so commercial as TikTok. But yeah, tell us, Smash, what your thoughts are.
Hey. One thing I really hate most about this whole Instagram trying to be literally everything else thing is that at some point they lost their core values. They lost what Instagram is all about. Instagram used to be just about logging in, seeing pretty people, seeing people showing off their best versions of themselves, their best bodies, their best food, showing off their workouts. Simple, straightforward. Nowadays, they have no identity. YouTube goes and does something. Instagram follows along. First of all, they started with that IGTV thing, which clearly flopped because the app is now gone. And that actually allowed people to add 10-minute long videos to their Instagram feed. Who wanted 10-minute long videos on Instagram? Who has the time? You want to scroll and like, see cute people, see bums, see whatever, and just like. That's all you want to see on Instagram. So when they came along and did that, that was already quite worrying. Then they came with the Reels. And the Reels are literally just...
Didn't they, at some point, they also copied Snapchat? They had, like, all the
Yes, with the
filters
stories.
and the stories. Yeah. Right.
They're just copying everyone. So they kind of have no identity at this point. And also, TikTok does what they do so well. Their viral videos, their algorithm, you see everyone's videos. As opposed to Instagram, where also the content on Instagram is not as vibrant. It's not as it's not as it's not as out there as on
It's
TikTok.
not engaging.
It's not engaging. Yeah, it's mostly just people just taking videos of themselves, just turning, saying, look at me, mostly. And can't do much with that.
Well, here's a story about your TikTok, you two. And it's hilarious because Tracy says she watched a documentary last night about a girl who was addicted to TikTok, who's developed tics and Tourette's-like syndromes.
Not just one, it's many.
TikTok.
No, it's many. It's really interesting. So Tracy, I'm so glad that you've seen it because I saw the trailer and I didn't know if it would be available to South Africa. So I'd love to know which platform you watched that on. But it's true. They started, TikTok. Obviously, there's not everything good about every platform. So another thing that TikTok is known for is spreading the ADHD news, and now everyone has ADHD, right? The same thing happened with this Tourette thing, but it's really interesting because it's beyond just wanting to be like the person that you're watching. There's actually a phenomenon that occurs. Don't you remember those old village stories when the villages, you'll know, Gareth, were overcome with mass hysteria or laughing fits or dancing fits?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's a social contagion.
Yes. So that's what's happened with Tourette's. And it's affected mainly girls who are teenagers.
Yes.
Well, I mean, because girls who are teenagers are susceptible to all kinds of stupid shit.
Yeah,
honestly,
that's true. That's true.
Teenage girls are probably the most easily influenced group of people on planet Earth at any given time. Always. And if something
Tracy says it was
if the
60
cool
minutes
girls,
Australia.
Yeah, 60 Minutes Australia. If the cool girl does something, then all the other girls do it as well. You've actually had you had a spate of this in America too, with a lot of these sort of transgender things that have been going on. It's a social contagion where teenage girls, especially, have seen a 4,000% increase in trans girls. Why? Because one or two girls decided this was cool and interesting, and it got you automatic points in society. And it also stopped people from feeling stupid because they bully you in your trans, say discrimination, and you can actually have something done about it. So now there are a whole bunch of girls doing it, even though they're not. And some of them are doing corporations,
And some of them are nursing.
direct DVD blockers. It's becoming really, really bad. So there's a massive, massive amount of trouble on the way because of girls in this social station. Now, boys are less so because boys, I think they fight, they get it out of their system and they move on. And also, boys aren't as prone to being acceptable and cool as girls are. Jesus, there's a lot of pressure on young girls. Wow.
There's a lot.
Nice. So,
And one thing I noticed as well that these social media platforms are among the youth, among the little kids especially, my aunt cannot pay attention. She spends so much time on TikTok that her attention span is so short. It is so short because she's used to just scrolling fast, watching 5-second clips, 10-second clips at most. She can't pay attention to anything. She can't even watch her favorite TV shows anymore. She gets bored so young.
That's unproven to, that's the thing. That's the thing. And I mean, as someone who's in their 40s and loves TikTok, I used to watch YouTube continuing before the videos are too long. So it absolutely happens.
I wonder if there's a perfect amount of screen time we should all have, and whether we should enforce those things on ourselves. We can't really have anyone else do it. But for example, kids, I know my two nephews, my sister-in-law says to me, you can have, I think it's an hour or two of screen time a day, that's it. And if you do more than that, it's not allowed. They'll take the devices away. And I think maybe that would be good for all of us, because these screens are mesmerizing, and you actually can't do anything about it. Once you're addicted, you're addicted, and then it's too late. You can't do anything else.
Yeah, but we need to keep in mind there's a difference between screen time and leisure screen time. Screen time, if you took that away from me, I wouldn't be able to do my job. I spend my life in front of the screen.
Yes.
But if
Ultimately, Monday.com has been a real game changer for our
who listens to us and has the most screen time out of everybody. We want to hear from you. All right. Lots of things to talk about this morning. Besides that, there's also some news on the Chinese booster rocket. So I know you guys are going on about how great, TikTok is. China is the mastermind behind TikTok. China is also behind sending this rocket to space, which is fine. But the debris of the rocket, that the rocket kind of drops pieces off of it as it burns fuel and gets into the upper atmosphere. So China just doesn't seem to care. Apparently their rocket debris caught fire while entering the Earth's airspace, and the movement of the burning debris crossed Malaysian airspace and could be detected in several areas, including crossing the airspace around the state of Sarawak. And China don't care. They don't give a damn. The Chinese booster rocket made an uncontrolled return to Earth on Friday, and then on Saturday, very early, apparently U.S. officials chided Beijing for not sharing information about the potentially hazardous object falling to Earth. In a statement posted to its official WeChat profile, the China Manned Space Agency later gave coordinates for an impact area in the Sulu Sea, which is about 35 miles from the Philippines. Notice they don't do it in their own sea or earth.
also they're called China Manned.
Yes, China Manned Space Agency. Anyway, so Malaysia Space Agency falling into the Sulu Sea. Debris the rocket caught fire while entering the Earth's airspace, and moving the burning debris also crossed the base. And people are criticizing that. Can't you keep it together? China really doesn't. China does not care. concept about anyone.
Yeah.
They really don't.
It really does seem like they don't care, because I feel like with that type of math and calculations and all of that go into actually a rocket launch, they should have known. They knew.
Yeah.
China doesn't say they gave us Wuhan. They gave us TikTok, and now they're dropping into the rocket ship.
Russia isn't far behind.
Well, China doesn't. Listen, can I just say something about Russia? I thought it's amazing thing that some folks are coming to the world, Russia is up against a huge coalition. All the European powers, the United States, most of the world, 6 countries are actually not this stuff. And with their army, they're still doing damage. I'm not a Russian. I know they started this war. I know that Vladimir Putin is very smart. But you've got to give it up for Russia. Because that's not part of Europe. Yeah, America. Every
Yeah, people are fighting hard. My understanding is like Mother Russia right now.
But yeah, Russia is just doing their own thing at this point, and I mean they've got some people independent. For example, they don't have McDonald's. They launched their own version of McDonald's, which is called I'm gonna butcher this reading this. It's called Vkusno Pito. That's what it's called.
Just roll with the time.
And it translates to tasty and that's it. That's the name of the Russian McDonald's. Straight to the point, tasty and that's it.
Russian but they eat the Russians, so it's not really something society can try. I'm not going to be flying through bloody Moscow to go try some tasty, and that's it.
What's the third canton?
Hey, Doc, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm well. How are you?
Good.
Nice to see you.
You're really good story. Maybe before we get to the story, what do you think is a healthy amount of screen time? I mean, you probably see people who come in to you and say, hey, Doc, I'm really worried about my social media addiction. You know, everything can be addictive. And people don't realize you can be addicted to exercise. You can be addicted to drinking water. You can be addicted to sport. You can be addicted to work. It's not just the obvious. Like being addicted to drugs or alcohol. So tell me, if we and I'll get to Ash in a second. How much is too much stuff basically for people who, you know,
so you know, like this is going to get quite boring, but as you know, I'm a big fan of investing your time into things that create value, and nothing has value outside of the context of the goal. So somebody says to me, I just had a whole cheesecake, is that good or bad? My answer is, I don't know, what's the goal? If the goal is to lose weight, then the wrong thing. If the goal is to enjoy every second of your existence, then that was damn awesome. Nothing is outside of context. It means that. It means anything. So you've got to ask yourself, the amount of time that I spend on the screen, is that the best way to invest your time and energy in getting closer to your goal? If you're a chef and you're investing time into finding out new recipes, getting creative, finding new ideas, then that's good. You should invest into that. But if you're investing your time comparing your life to someone else, that is the worst way to spend your time.
Okay, so that's the use of a bit of info. I just thought we could throw that in before we start talking to Ash. So Ash, why don't you tell me the story? Got a hell of a story here. years ago, Ash, when you escaped Eastern European communism with your family, and you moved to Canada, right?
Hi, good morning. Yes, sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. So we left Romania in 82, and we had to walk down in 89. So my father had escaped in 80 on his own, and made his way to Montreal, and 2 years later we joined him. Add to that my parents had got threatening great cancer here. I suspect that each had like some kind of childhood infection, and so it was hereditary. Long story short, right, yeah. And so I'm the oldest of 3 girls. My older sister is 9 and 10 years older. As you can imagine, integration into Canada with those 2 languages was challenging. And so I became an adult very early. And relationships have frayed since then due to the responsibility of it all. And my parents also have a little bit of a personality disorder. My father suffers from alcoholism and my mother is a bit of a narcissist. So combine that with the disability and it really makes it hard on soul. And so I started to travel just to get away from the house and moved to Cape Town about 12 years ago. And since then, obviously the pandemic happened. There's been a wedding, there's been a funeral, and there's been years that have passed, and they haven't softened. So none of us are speaking. The 3 sisters are not speaking to each other, and no one's speaking to our parents. I've tried to reconcile and hand out an olive branch, and I've failed, and it's backfired. And whenever I try and talk about it with my friends or even in therapy, all I hear is get over it, move on, let it go. And the ambiguous grief and the weight of it all is just, it's no longer something I can talk about without people rolling their eyes, but it's the biggest thing I'm dealing with. And I'm just curious as to your thoughts, because you mentioned last week that if your life is big enough, you can manage the loss. And I just wonder what your thoughts are.
So Ash, what is the ideal outcome for you? What do you want to create? What do you want to achieve? What's the goal?
The opportunity to be a sister and have a sister, the opportunity to be a daughter and have a parent. And it might be asking for too much. Maybe they're clearly not at that space in their evolution, but I don't get to play out those roles. I don't get to have those experiences.
Right. So Ash, I want to mention a couple of things that could be useful to you. First of all, any relationship, think about it as a game. And I don't mean it in any frivolous way. All I mean is there are certain rules to playing a game. So I play a game with my kids. So I have certain rule sets for them. They have certain rule sets for me. We agree on those rule sets and we have a good game. I have a game that I play with my wife. I have a game that I play with particular friends. I have a game that I play with my patients. I have games that I play with my mentor, with my mom, with my brother. And the thing about a relationship is that you both have to agree on the rules of the game. The problem is when... Say that again?
The dynamic.
The dynamic, so the rules. So for example, now let's just be more specific with you. You say you want to have a relationship with your sisters and you want to have a relationship with your parents. But having a relationship requires another party or the other person on the other side of the table to want to play that game. I need your sisters to say, I want to be a sister to you as well. I need your mom to say, I want to be a mom to you as well. I need your dad to say, I want to be a dad. Because the moment you have the other party saying, I don't want to play this game called mom, called dad, called sister, for as much as you want to play the game, there is no game. There's nothing to be played. And what's going to happen is you're naturally going to get hurt because you're investing time and energy and effort and emotion into playing a game that doesn't exist. The aim for you, Ash, is not to marry what you wish it would be or what you wish it was, but rather to marry the reality of what it is. And what it is it seems, at least from the way you're explaining, that you have sisters, you have parents that don't want to be sisters and don't want to be parents. And that is a very tough pull to swallow, because ideally as a child we want nothing more than to have a healthy relationship with mom, a healthy relationship with dad. But you need a healthy mom and dad to want to be mom and dad in order for us to have a relationship with mom and dad. Mom is a very loaded word. Dad is a very loaded word. It means a lot of things. But to you, you have to think about it not in terms of what you wish it was, but again, what it actually is. And that requires a process of grief, because you have to let go of the fantasy and the dream, and you have to accept the reality of what it is. Does that make sense to you?
It does, and that's what I was going to speak about. It's the grief, it's also the stigma, right? Because we all know, like, oh, if somebody doesn't have a stable relationship with their family, you know, don't want to get too close to that person, you know, and this stonewalling behavior is so entrenched not only in my family but culturally. You know, this like secret police has destroyed communities' trust in each other. So I'm very good at stonewalling. I'm very good at burning bridges, and it's all of these dynamics play out post acceptance.
For sure. What you want to do is you want to ensure that the dynamics between you and, or what you've learned between you and your sisters and you and your mom or you and your dad, you and your parents, doesn't affect the character that you are in a negative way. Because it's so easy to go through an experience that you have, the many experiences you have had, and suddenly stop trusting other people and stop trusting the world. Which makes you, I'm not saying you, but I'm saying that you make a person naturally very bitter and very negative towards others. It actually makes them more distant, build up walls, create that kind of gap between yourself and others. And I want you to not take this as a lesson in how bad the world is, but I want you to take this as a lesson of what can I do, what can you do to make things better for you? How do you take the negative lessons and make it positive in your relationship with your spouse, in your relationship, maybe if you have kids or one day you'll have kids, perhaps, or your relationship with your friends, that make you a better person. Now, two things. Number one, we talk about the stigma. I want to assure you from my experience is that even though society says there's certain rules to abide by in order to be healthy or to be seen in a particular way, please believe me, Ash, believe me, nobody cares. No one cares. People might, if you don't fit into a mold, you might be seen as X or Y or Z, but in reality, nobody cares. In other words, people move on with their lives. People have their own issues. People have their own troubles. People have their own challenges. Nobody, you know who's judging you? People that aren't happy within themselves. I promise you, people that are filled and full and feel fulfilled and have a sense of purpose and have their own direction and drive and are not comparing their life to anybody else are happy for you because of the character that you are, not from where you come from. The people that do care, the people that do judge, the people that do try to get you to feel less than because you don't have as much or you don't have or you haven't reached a particular point, those are people that shouldn't be part of your circle anyway. So for you to think, well, the stigma, it's only for those, it's only in your head with those people that shouldn't be in your circle anyway. But the question is, how do you, and what I want to help you with is, how do you then move from the process of grief? How do you then learn to accept that this is it? I want you to act with the reality of what it is. In other words, if you accept it, imagine yourself 5 years down the line, completely accepting the fact that this is the relationship with your sister, non-existent. This is the relationship with your parents, non-existent. Imagine in 5 years' time you accept it. You fully accept it. Let's just play this vision game. You accept it. How would you act?
Something happened. You've become unplugged. I couldn't hear you there.
Am I back? Okay. Sorry. So what I was saying is, imagine in 5 years' time you were fully accepted of where you were, accepting of the fact that this was that you didn't have a relationship with your sister, you didn't have a relationship with your parents. What would you do? So you would say to me, come on, I I would focus on my friends, I would focus on my work, I would focus on my sense of purpose, I would focus on my health, I would focus on things that bring me joy, I would focus on my financial stability. That is what I want you to do. I want you to act in line with what you would be like if you were fully accepted. Now you would say to me, what's the benefit? Here's the benefit. The moment you act as if, emotions always follow. The moment you act as if, emotions will always follow. It's not let me feel, then do. It's always do, and emotions always follow. And I'll give you a quick analogy. The bungee jump. If you stand on the edge of the platform and you're about to bungee jump, the moment you say to yourself, let me feel comfortable, and then I'll jump, what will happen is you'll never jump because you can't control how you feel. But the moment you jump, you act, and you're going to feel scary. And it feels scary because you jump. It feels bad. You jump. It feels worse. You jump. It feels worse, but now jump 100 times. Now you start feeling better. Behavior, first, emotions always follow. So my advice to you is, as difficult and as fake as it feels, act with the reality of what it is. Do it 100 times, emotions always follow.
Last year I actually decided to change my first name. And it's as a personal anchor, as a bookmark for me of like, okay, who do I want to behave with? Who am I being? Who am I, bringing myself into? And that's going to transition, because people don't like that kind of confusion, and it sounds neurotic and, self-important and whatever, but it really comes from that place of, I'm going to define it moving forward.
Okay, that's very powerful. That's incredibly empowering. Well done to you. Even though that takes, again, incredible amount of courage, and again, there's a first of love because you have to go from what it was to what it is. That's an incredible first step in the bungee jump experience. But you have to do that. And people make the mistake, they bungee jump and they go, but I feel worse. I say to them, continue bungee jumping until your emotions resonate with the behavior. So continue doing this. This is very powerful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate
It is really my pleasure.
And please don't clear to all inappropriate jokes. I don't want to start off anyone's week with like a depressing story. So go ahead.
I mean, you sound like someone who's really getting it together, and I mean, just judging from the obvious, difficulty of this situation, it sounds to me like you really are. You're one of those people who can make things incredible and make things better. It sounds like you already have making these brave moves, like moving to Cape Town, like changing your birth name. I mean, that's incredible stuff. So you're already on the right path. And Doc, your advice is absolutely spectacular. Thank you.
Well, thanks. That means a lot, Gareth. I've been listening for way too many years. I call it the Church of Gareth. So that means a lot. Thank you.
Wow. Okay, there's no pressure on me. Well, Ash, you keep listening to us, and nothing bad will ever happen to you. What can I say?
I'll see you in the morning.
Awesome. Thank you. Ash. Cheers. Very nice to have you on. Thank you. Wow, Doc, you lay it on. I mean, last week was pretty intense as well. I think it was intense. We're getting some.
And you know what? No, for sure. And I just want to say one thing, that the reason why Ash is able to move forward is because she's honest. There's no BSing. She's real with what she's going through. There's no sense of pretending that, that this is something that it is not. She puts it on the table and we deal with it. That's the real first step.
All right, Doc, thank you very much. See you in a week.
Nice to see you guys.
All right, we'll be back with more in a little that we've got to do now, but we'll rejoin you, including Leanne had the story of the Blue Mermaid, which I think, we haven't heard enough weird shit this morning.
That wasn't that reality.
So all of that and more on the way with me and Nash and Leanne.
This was fun. What a credit card. So we went back to the vehicle check. Well, that's not it's not a physical inspection, it's a distance inspection. So this is, and I think it's important to know that there are some completely different. However, part of it is, so that looks like the objective when put it out there, and then whatever data is captured and about the car will be shown in the gas. You take and what a credit card is
simple connections. John Lucky Watch is the CEO of Catalytic, Unbundled Podcast. With skin in the game and a keen focus on educating and assisting you and your business, Lucky becomes all the aspects of connectivity, security, and artificial. Unbundled is brought to you by Catalytic and CapitCentral.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. All right. So, a couple things I want to quickly tell you about. We did a series called The Naked Economy with Ernest North from Naked. And we've now got them telling you about some of the products that they do, some of the things that they're involved in, about some about other things. I wanted to let you know that even though we've been talking about how Naked insurance offering differs from everyone else, it's probably one of the best products. So take a look at the first time. That's all the friends. You know that too. People are working from home, and people are using their cards differently. Everything is changed. So with Naked Cover Pause, you can actually pause the accident portion of your cover on the days when you're not driving. It's terrific. I mean, why not save that money? You're not driving, why not make that? You could save up to 50% on your premium with one on the Naked app. And if, for example, like my business partner Lena, who's in New York at the moment, she's not using her car, she pauses the app home, she doesn't have to worry about paying for it. 2 weeks and she's going to be there. Isn't that clever? Nice, that's clever, right? It's amazing. It is. So, it's amazing. You don't need to sit on your phone for 40 minutes to tell them if your car is going to park. Click it on your own on the app. Whilst you're on a cover course, you'll take a place. You'll possibly cover the death, fire, or Mother Nature, even a runaway airport flight, all of that stuff. When you need to drive again, you'll cover one tool on the visit Naked.info or download the Naked Insurance app for outdoor insurance with out-of-phone call, Naked Financial Technology, and also very good. How was that fun?
What a story.
You reckon you could help me? I'm not going to complain so much anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You get parents having to move out of Eastern Europe in the 80s, then move to Canada, French immigrants, then your two sisters just disappeared and you with the responsibility. I mean, it's just busy. There's a lot going on. So when you're back, I get that. I'm moving to Cape Town and start again. And she just wants, she just wants to reconcile. That's what someone said. You just got to accept that if you want to reconcile with the other party doesn't.
I mean, that is a vibe.
It's like a hostage.
Yeah. And it's also about being, if you think about a past relationship that you've had, an intimate relationship, it's that you still are grieving or missing. It's about loving the ideal of what it could have been, and letting go of that. You know, you aren't really missing the reality of what it was, because it was shit.
It was shit, exactly.
You're still in love with what the ideal could have been.
I mean, people love to convince themselves of the fantasy becoming the reality, but it doesn't. You know?
Yes.
We can't have this this cognitive dissonance in our head, this idea that, oh, well, just because I want something, I can manifest it into reality. Sometimes you can't, and especially when it involves another person, because they've got to actually want to bring their side of the bargain. If they don't, it's a disaster.
Hence the advice to act first and then let your emotions follow. That's some profound stuff.
So clever. And you know how many people do the opposite every day and then they complain about how their lives aren't working out?
Yes.
Like, but I felt this way, so I ended up doing this. It's ridiculous.
But.
So, all right, Leanne, you want to tell us about the Blue Mermaid? And I mean, normally I'd say this stupid story, we should ignore it. But just explain what the hell's happening here, and I'll put a picture up. People need to see this.
So she's making international news and it's really cool that she's South African. And she doesn't wear mermaid suit. She's dubbed the Blue Mermaid. And she's very much involved in free diving, she's an instructor. She explores the ocean with great white sharks. Obviously, she comes with many challenges, including that she needs to hold her breath for 40 minutes at a time, which she's described as her own superpower. Her name
Alright,
is Zambia.
I immediately thought this is a girl who thinks she's a mermaid. And
No.
Actually, it's like two.
Yeah, one of these lunatics. You know, these people who think they're a My Little Pony, or they think that they're a butterfly. So I'm
No.
that's not.
She's definitely a realist. She herself has a woman she nicknamed herself the Black Man. And she has an all-female team of marine biologists who are tracking sharks and then science. And she's great to look at.
So where does KZN on the page?
I'm not entirely sure. Maybe revealed, maybe all over. She works far as Huntsby, Mossel Bay, London, etc. And we need to remember as well that endangered sharks include great white sharks. They're an endangered species, have been since 2006. So
She's
yeah. Yeah. She's all about the research, the preservation of these sharks themselves, as well as the habitat. And you know, they're kind of dangerous. So I just see her as like a really powerful being. She may not just be a mermaid, but she's definitely someone that I admire. So her fellow biologists are Alison Connor and Louise America. They get really up and personal because they're tagged very fast. They can track their migration patterns. Yeah, it involves a lot of close-on action with these terrifying animals.
I saw a horrible video this morning someone sent me on Instagram of just woken up and I watched it like 2 times. Apparently this guy was swimming in some of those glass boxes.
Yeah.
And the shark actually broke through. These animals are nuts. I'm sorry, but there are a couple of things that always freak me out. And I could say there's 3 ways that you would not like. I don't want to be eaten by a shark. I don't want to be eaten by a crocodile. And I don't want to be eaten by one of those Komodo dragons.
You want to get eaten, period.
Oh, that's not. I don't want to be eaten in such a dignified way. But there was this video. Somebody sent me on Facebook of a Komodo dragon. And I mean, she knows I don't like these. This thing basically comes along and it walks like this. They just said historic. And it comes up this antelope. It's obviously bitten. It's like a little buck. It's like a deer. And it's bitten it already. So now that the bacteria in its mouth is so poisonous that the thing dies. So all it has to do is wait for it to fall down. And then the video shows the thing walking up to this deer. And it basically picks it up in its jaw and it just swallows the whole thing. They're like the hooves, the horns, the hooves, everything. It swallows the whole thing and goes and they're like kind of not hit that and then swallows the whole deer now until all that's left is just the last 2 the 2 hind legs wheels is all that remains sticking out of the mouth. I watched this, I was so
I was so disgusted after what I saw. I didn't eat the rest of the day that I saw it.
Sure. No, these eating.
If you want to follow her on Instagram, she is Zandi all one word. And she is so inspiring. Talking about Dr. Hannah and one of her latest grams is a reminder you can do anything you want to do. She gives some advice and don't be afraid. You can do hard things to affect your life. Very inspiring.
I like it. Well, speaking of inspiring, researchers estimate 40 to 50% of our actions on any given day are done out of habit. That's almost half. So atomic habits are a regular practice of routine that's not only small, easy to do, but also the source of incredible power and a component of the system of compound growth. What am I talking about? Well, in this week's episode of Leadership Books Unpacked, here at Nanda Popolaro and unpack atomic habits and changes in multiple book by James Clear. And you can listen to the Tracy book on Leadership Books Unpacked, wherever you get the podcast, proudly sponsored by Pollard Life Solutions and Super League. So there's another place that you can get some inspiration. Cool, huh?
Yes.
Very good.
Very, very nice. So I mentioned that because you could Chris Tracy for a while. He was doing 86 days in the Kruger National Park. Doing the charity project this time, and raising money for the Smile Foundation. We'll talk about that in just 15 minutes from now. There are lots of other things to talk to you about this morning. And he's putting amazing stuff on Instagram. So you can check that out. He's got lots of cool stuff.
Speaking of dangerous animals.
Well,
and interestingly enough, the sponsor actually told me here to visit. She has two of her assistants here, and they're, like I mentioned, 19 and 22. And the amount of time we said to them, please don't be silly, because they're off to the Kruger National Park. Don't be silly and roll down windows and they overrules.
You have to tell people this.
You do.
Foreign tourists, they think it's like a zoo. You can lean out of the window, and, you can get out of the car. You know how many people can think by, lions.
And mostly tourists.
Correct. So weird you should even mention lions and leopards. I had the most bizarre dream last night that I was being chased by a pack of lions. Ooh. So this lion. Yeah, the thing eaten by animal things really unusual.
How did you survive it?
What'd you say?
I didn't get it. It was a fucking terrifying dream, I can tell you that much.
I do. We dream often. It's a recurring one for me. That I'm in a lodge somewhere. Someone's left the door open, like the stable door.
Yeah.
And I'm making my way to the door, but I can see through the window the lions making their way to the door as well. One of those things where you just can't get there in time, and they're coming through, and you're pushing the door, and you don't have the strength. Oh.
Oh no.
Yeah. That and being chased around a tree by a rhino with a particularly huge horn.
You guys have different types of dreams.
Yeah, what? You don't have dreams like this?
No, most of my dreams are just, very terrifying, of course, but don't involve animals ever. It's just me sitting up in my bed and there's something in the corner. We just stare at each other for hours, or me just falling. That's pretty much my dreams every night.
I like there's something in the corner that you stare at each other for hours.